I'm having to sit down in order to demonstrate a little bit more on sitting posture. So if you need to see or whatever you need to do, don't hesitate to stand up. I'm very sorry about that. Or if you want to sit in the front closer, I like people who are close. Feel invited to come closer if you want. I was saying that meditation, the act of sitting, is a very powerful, profound act, as many of you know. To cultivate that level of dedication to just simply facing oneself, feeling and facing oneself. I use the word frequently, what is meditation? No matter how detailed the instructions, the first thing that I do, which is all that I wish to share with you, is to take a sitting posture and place your legs in some way that reflects comfort, stature, poise, balance. If you see the way that I'm sitting, nothing's smashing on top of one another. It's up to you whether you want to sit in some kind of full lotus. But if you roll your cushion up and you sit on the edge of a cushion, a pillow, a blanket, a yoga mat, you can see that you can clearly adjust the height of your buttocks, and that often indicates the balance quality, the poise quality, and how low your knees will go. If you are sitting on a chair or the sofa, there is no difference than any other sitting posture. In fact, we're in multiple postures all day long. And meditation is a multiple posture practice. Eating, standing, reclining, bending, sitting, walking, reaching. Here we're just taking one particular posture, the asana of sitting. And we're doing it as best as we can by taking a posture that reflects, number one, a sense of importance in the action. So may I invite you now, cease what you're doing other than committing to silence, taking a sitting posture, whether it be on a chair or a bench or a cushion, and make the adjustments that we need to make in our sitting posture. Take a minute or two each time that we sit. Is this the way that I want to be sitting? And feel into ways to make adjustments so that ultimately you're not having to force yourself to sit up. You're just simply sitting down. Which means exaggerated in the beginning. If you wish to put your hand on your upper chest or on your heart area, you can just push your chest forward and sit down simultaneously without losing height in your posture. It's not an exaggeration, but again, I feel that posture reflects states of consciousness. Meditations as a foundation is the act of self-respect. I wish to look, see, and feel myself as I am in the flow of existence in this moment now, over and over again. So please make that adjustment. And then when you feel ready, simply sit down fully on the chair, the bench, keeping your back somewhat upright, the shoulders consciously relaxed without losing height in your posture. Slightly lower the chin and let the head rest on top of the body. When you feel inclined, please close your eyes. If they continue to open, that's natural. Gently, ever so mindfully, re-close them. As for our hands, either you can continue to place one or both on your chest or your heart area as a way to stabilize in present time presence. I am here as my heart beats, one beat at a time, one breath at a time. I am here to occupy my existence, this existence, in shared context. One breath, one beat, time and again, here and now. The action of meditation is to feel innateness. Placing our hands either face down on our knees and relaxing the lower arm and the upper arm, or placed on one's lap, either the left underneath and the right on top, or vice versa, obviously one's choice. Clearly we can experiment every sitting and even during each sitting to tweak, adjust, experiment, play, feel into refinement of posture, knowing all along there isn't a perfect posture. The attitude that I have found helpful is making a temporary peace with the posture. Making peace with our spot. So please spend the next 20 seconds or so making our final adjustments, closing the eyes without squeezing them shut, and each time that we sit, reoccupying in our own authentic, natural way the Dharma asana of sitting with mindful, intelligent presence. So the first step in each sitting is to make physical adjustments, and the only inner adjustment is a posture that reflects the soul attitude of self-respect, stature, and dignity. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. In breath, out breath. All other activities, let them be, protecting this space with our participation in silence and present time presence. The next instruction is to support the evolving attitude that there is no hindrance or obstacle in this process. No thing or person is obstructing our mindful intelligence. Nothing inside or nothing outside. nothing historical, and nothing projected into the future. The attitude of inclusivity. This is different than accepting. We're basically saying my heart and mind is open to feel the natural phenomena as free of interpretation as we are wise to have. The sound from what appears across the valley, the sound of human voice, the belief that there's joy in their lives, the sound of my voice that we hear on our ear that personally translates based upon one's own conscience, self-honesty. Thoughts will occur and occur repeatedly, like the sound natural phenomena. We're naturalizing our emotions, our memories. We're being the large, vast-hearted mother to embrace, feel, embrace, include the body in every way in which it's felt, vacant, intense, painful, beautiful, neglected, hungry, shattered, tender, open-hearted, vulnerable, sitting down, sitting erect. And now for the next instruction. As we did yesterday, when one is ready, we relinquish deliberately controlling the breath. Obviously, we breathe independent of the need to breathe. Breathing is inbuilt into the organism. It is our DNA. Let the breathing breathe on its own is the instruction to remember. Watchful of attitude beliefs that impose upon breathing right and wrong through the evaluation of it being not long enough or too short or not coming from the lower abdomen. The next level of instruction, let the breathing not only breathe on its own, but to sink into the lower abdomen. Just relax the abdomen area, sitting down, relaxing. The willful, conscious act of relinquishing control of breathing. Equal to that, highly attentive, transparent awareness that feels the entire interior of the body as if our mindful intelligence was clear light or the oxygen within a balloon. Infuse the interior of our body with transparent, pure, mindful, intelligent awareness. And let us arrive at this first stage of sitting and call it the action of embodied, mindful, meditative intelligence. Just to feel. Sitting still, whatever comes up in the body, hold it, embrace it, allow it to co-occupy this wise, mindful, intelligent presence that sees and feels but does not keep or evaluate. And if we find those tendencies arises, we notice them and we include that too. For the next couple of minutes, please, as we have heard the suggested instructions, let us each embody them, immerse ourselves in them to the best of our ability. And equal to the feeling sensations of the body, we are equally mindfully aware of letting all ambient sound be felt and known in this transparent inner consciousness of mindful intelligence that hears, sometimes sees images of what we associate the sound to be or where it's coming from. So be it. Feeling warmth of the air on our skin, warmth. I have different thoughts arising, thoughts. I see some images. There's a sense of peace and gratitude to be in the company of good people. The emotionality of gratitude. I feel some semblance of stillness and engagement and gratitude. Stillness, gratitude, engagement. I know that I'm sitting on vulnerability. I'm co-occupying heartfulness the emergence of compassion and sorrow, heartfulness, compassion, sorrow. Include, feel, sit upright. Keep relaxing the breathing to let it breathe on its own. Whatever the emotions and the feelings of sensations in the body, include, feel, allow. Sitting in greater solidarity to self-honesty, which is the base and pervasive state of mind. That could be called the heart of mindful intelligence. Each time that the mind is found to be externalized or fused within thinking, moving along the current of thought and ideation, natural, reform and reground ourselves in mindfully intelligent embodiment, in-breath, consciously choosing to re-inhabit the body as if we were touching intimately the body of another with our minds, so carefully, consciously, compassionately, sitting, relaxing the breathing, nothing to uphold. Dying and being reborn, breath by breath. Inhabit, feel, know. Keep relaxing the shoulders, keep the neck and head upright. Be watchful of anticipating something ending. Sit down. Make peace with this moment, this posture, this context. We're choosing to sit upright and receive whatever sensations arise within our bodies. We're choosing to relax control of the breath and let the breath breathe on its own. We're choosing to include all phenomena that arises at the 6 sense doors: thoughts, emotions, sounds, smells, tastes, inner images, consciousness itself, and physical sensations to arise within the field of mindful, transparent awareness, and to simply allow, include, and bring as much non-judgmental, non-grasping awareness, the transparent quality of consciousness that knows but does not keep, feels but does not push away. We are choosing that state of consciousness and deliberately, through right, intelligent effort, to focus it within the body and experience the direct set of changing relations and emotions and sensations as they arise. We're not watching the breath, so to speak. We're feeling the sensations that arise with oxygen coming into the body and exhaling. We're feeling not the heartbeat, but the sensations of our anatomy on the most fundamental level of direct experience. How is it possible to be mindful of oxygen? Feel the true nature of mind and body. Inhabit. Embody. Relax control and engage this transparent ally of mindful, intelligent awareness. We're choosing to occupy the body on the felt level. And when the mind wanders somewhere, it's not a fault. We know it, and we're consciously choosing in this meditation to re-inhabit the inner Dharma asana of sitting, feeling is the operative word here. What do we mindfully feel? And just be gentle in that process. Be subtle. Including all the senses. Thoughts, sound, smells, taste, touch, ideas, images. Be this transparent awareness that includes life as it unfolds moment to moment. Letting the breathing relax, If there's pain anywhere in the body, include that too. A constellation of sensations. If there's a need to change at any time, nothing's lost. Mindfully move, re-inhabit every change along the way until you resume stillness. Otherwise, in-breath, out-breath, in-breath, out-breath. So please, for these final few minutes of the sitting, stature, relaxing the breathing, sitting upright, include know, feel. Gentle presence with the flow of life. Self-honesty. Stature. Dignity. Present time presence. Taking our time for this final minute. Keeping the breath relaxed. Present time presence. Sound, sensations. They come and they go. They come and they go. So please, when you feel inclined or ready to make whatever changes you need to make to relax one posture and move into another, stand, stretch, bend, ease the body and the mind. Please do what feels right to you. And of course, keeping our mindful presence quite intimate to the changes of posture and mind. So, another good morning. I don't know how you feel about sitting meditation, but my sense is that it's pretty evident that in a very short period of time as a group, it's quite amazing that people can come together like that and sit in silence and sensitize so much. One of the fears that I had as a meditator, and still do, is that I overly sensitize. I'm very careful about the word overly, which means that when I'm more and more sensitive, more and more present, I have to make choices in my life to be more and more present with people who I'm already with in my life, and or be more present with them in ways that they're not as present with me. So meditation, although it sensitizes, it also reveals a lot of what isn't in other people. And we have to be very careful, for me, very careful of over-evaluating and unconsciously shadowing them and often shaming them with expectations that they're not being met at the level that we want to be met. This is the emergence, obviously, of empathy and compassion. So I say this as we open it up to questions. Keep active in your life, which you don't need my advice to do, but as an encouragement, and keep me active in my life with this more evolved quality of caring for the well-being of others as we care for the well-being of ourselves, which means being informed a lot of the time by patience, resilience, curiosity, the expectation of developmental results on the terms of our own need, and to take initiatives in creatively introducing new ways of being in existing relationships, to take the pressure off them to be like us, or to evolve like us, or to be as present as us, or to behave like us. Be very watchful of that. And then equal to that is the study of compromise. Compromise gets a bad rap in the world. As if you ever see it, somehow it should be avoided. I'm not really from that school. I've learned that I make choices that include lots of people towards me that have to compromise certain things to be in my company. So I'd like to reciprocate with gentleness and respect in taking the need for them to conform off of my agenda. So I'd be very watchful of the attitude of compromise as we evolve in our spiritual dharmic life. So just a few little reminders. Any questions about sitting meditation specifically? Take your time, and if there are questions, please do. I hope I've been making the basic instructions quite clear. If you ever need to go over them again, they're on my Facebook page, and they will be also on the archive page of my website there. The things that I'm offering here are systematically offered in the retreat in Burma that also is offered as a gift for 10 days. It's totally silent. There is no talking. And the meditations are successively throughout the day, 1 hour of sitting meditation, not 20 or 30 minutes alone, and 1 hour of walking meditation, and 2 30-minute eating meditations, and 1-2 bathing meditations, and a couple of speaking meditations, and a lot of random in between those posture meditations, to the point where all of a sudden on day 3, you are seeing that you're living a very awake, mindful life that's integrated almost all postures all throughout the day. It's remarkable how quickly mindful intelligence and awareness evolve with almost no effort. It's like one of the best kept secrets on the planet, that if you just, wow, one yoga session will do that to my body. Yes, it hurts for the first session, or dance, but meditation becomes a very natural practice for people. So not to be frightened by that, either by the oversensitivity or by, oh my goodness, the intimidation of projecting into, if that was only 30 minutes and I felt the kind of disruption that I felt in my body for 30 minutes, I can't imagine sitting for an hour. It becomes one of the most addictive practices I've ever seen anyone do. It's one of the beautiful, tragic sides of it, is that you become a little bit religious with being a meditator. So questions that you might have that might be important to you. We have a whole succession of other instructions that will be included throughout each of the sessions for the remainder of the retreat as well. Anything at all from anyone? Please.
Yeah, I
Will you-
don't have a question about meditation, but I have a question about the states of mind. Because I can see that, for example, like in the middle of the night or early in the morning, my panic takes over. And it seems I don't know if this thing works. It seems it's like a movement that's not even totally personal, but it has to do with the timing of the day, maybe because I fall asleep, then I don't have my guard up and the panic comes up at that time. Anyway, so I have learned to not listen to the little voice that says, I just want to be dead, I just want to be dead, and just kind of be gentle to myself and say, oh, come on, you can think something else. But even this morning, I had like I had to deal with myself and my inner turmoil and panic, and then get going with the day. And I can see that it's not just a personal experience, but I can see of people around me that happens too. So. Okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. You're very clear.
Okay.
Very clear.
I mean, I guess we all have these states of mind, and that.
Well, you can ask if you want.
I wonder if you all have these states of mind that seem to come, at random moments, and maybe in those quiet moments in the night that we have nothing to distract ourselves from. Anyway.
I hear you. Let me say a few things about how I... Indra, thank you. Thank you for being courageous to say that, to feel it, to move into it, to challenge it, to bathe and to dress and to drive and get here. You engaged it.
Yeah.
Okay. Where I go, I say that because one of the ways that I disavow my developmental strength and courage is to focus a little bit excessively on the panic and not on the embrace. It's like looking at a white handkerchief and seeing a blemish and seeing that I focus on the blemish more than the handkerchief. So I would say that what I'm pointing to here is the mindful relationship to resilience equal to the more acute state of mind, sorrow, grief, or panic. So you're a fabric of psyche and psychology and emotions. You're an ecosystem. And in that ecosystem of our minds and our hearts, there are moments where conditions arise and go, panic. But the ecosystem is the mother of you. And she's able to hold and go, yep, I've known you panic. I fear that the whole ecosystem will collapse. Greater panic. And then you become, for me, both the ecosystem. Now I embrace a little bit more of the water, the oceans. I have to extend beyond the mountains into the sky. I have to be a larger mother that sees even possibly the loss of life on our planet, even the planet itself, as going in from epic mother to archetypal mother.
Fucking challenging sometimes.
So my point here is becoming more and more Dharma literate for me has been taking the dilemma out of consciousness and writing these things down. What are the attributes, Alan, in your own life that you attribute to gracefully and resiliently holding heightened complexity? Like when I was overcoming or challenging my recent bout of pharmaceutical use, and quite frankly, I don't know if you know, I've shared this, and I'm very comfortable with it. I've, for most of my post-monastic life, have felt a strong urge a lot of the time to no longer be alive as a human. It wasn't just suicidal ideation as it was, I'm just done. Just done. I'm just fucking done. What more do I need to do? Only when I had my daughter did I have a reason to confront that. And so it really changed the fabric. And then I felt like, oh my God, that's the only reason? And in this more recent bout, when I was like in this state of losing 9 people, and the narrative was, how much more loss can you deal with? How much more struggle can you deal with? How many more relationships that were splendid and glorious and beautiful and intimate and mindful and sacred end on the rocks of denial and deception? And I go right back into my original Buddhist roots of why I became a monk. I hear the Buddha yelling over the background of my psyche, oh nuns and monks, how many more tears do you need to realize that the nature, the very fabric of your birth is inherently flawed with old age, disease, and decay? How many more deaths do you need to witness in this world to realize that you're not exempt from that process? Oh, nuns and monks, I could hear this over and over at 26 years old, on acid no less, don't do it. You're not exempt. There's no refuge beyond death, disease, and dying and loss other than in a state of consciousness. And you and I, we went early pioneering to the Asians to find that state. And you know as well as I do, it's a state of mind, 1, states of mind, 2, and we're called upon at our stage of life to be even more intelligent, disciplined, with not giving up on the promise of transformational awakening. You're called upon to embody the new dimension, the new challenges, right? I'm saying things that bring you back to being the beautiful woman you are right now, that came out of that panic yet again and showed up. Showed up is very key for me. I did not want to come here today. I did not know why. I had some certain things that happened that were troublesome. I said, I'm gifted by these people. This is a place to be open and real, not to be so much of a teacher and eloquent. It's a place to be open and vulnerable and learn together. So the last point I want to make with you, dear woman, is that you're not alone. You know, I said it earlier, you're not alone. Look at that woman in the back there, who's your ally. You've got new friends here. One of the reasons why I created this retreat along with Samantha was to develop and strengthen our spiritual social ties. That's important to me. I cannot be today alive without each other. So my point is, I'm blessed with 4 or 5 really amazing people and about 100 extraordinary people and another 1,000 remarkable people. And then a whole shitload of assholes. Mostly everyone else who I don't know, and or people I project on in the newspaper who I think are really fucking psychotic. And I kind of feel like I've reached, in many ways, in my own little social tribe, some of the most remarkable people on the planet. How many more Ramanamas do you need to meet? How many more teachers out of Asia and India? How many more Buddhas? We've gotten the perennial wisdom, and now it's the application of that wisdom.
Well, I'm meeting gurus every moment. Like I just talked to Shiva this morning. I talked to Charlie this morning. I'm listening to you.
Shout it out.
I have this one amazing Kuan Yin next to me.
Microphone in your phone. See, that's my very point. Is the second form of meditation, which isn't second at all, is the interrelated transformational awakening through other. And I don't want to say a whole lot right now about it, but when we've been awakened and loved, and parents and loss, dreams crashed and other ones that kind of exploded. We're at a stage of life where, okay, what's new, what's different, how will it be different? There's a prediction it could get more complex, more difficult. For me, I'm older, we're less attractive. All the things that, so to speak, are said with that, and it's bullshit. It's more propaganda. The holders of a new beauty is very important for me, a new liberty. My point is, we need to step out further into our leadership roles, mentoring roles. I'm here to meet new people. Last night we left, I was blessed to have several people here. We had dinner. It was a fascinating conversation. I make a point of trying to go out every night to meet people that I know, or to go out to listen and to learn, even though it's uncomfortable some of the time. How easy it would be to not do that. So my point is be willing to take greater risks to include more people in your field, take more risks to be more open and seen, meet new people, excite old relationships in new ways, and be available to being in love. Really in love with all the people that you meet and someone new.
I'm open.
Let me hear it. Are you really, really open?
I'm totally open, because the sky is big and I'm not focusing on the cloud, but I'm focusing on the infinity of this universe and sky.
One more time, Indra. I am fucking open.
I'm fucking open.
Now look at you.
We are fucking open, and we are fucking ready to be fucking open with each other.
Yes. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Yeah. There's amazing stuff to discover with it.
And so I'd like to say with you, Indra, you and I are emerging friends. I really like you. You're an amazing person. This is an amazing person. If you listen to her, have the good fortune to hang with her and what she's gone through, what she's done, how she's suffered, how she's grown, amazing. Amazing. She's not the only one. Samantha's another one. Samantha in the back. These people hold sacred space. There's others here too. They're amazing human beings. I'm gifted to be in their company. More of my point is that we have an opportunity here to really come out and to really deliver on the promise of another stage of life that needs to be explored and enacted despite the fact of catastrophic economic, environmental collapse. The certainty of that, the likelihood, the strong likelihood of that. It's a call to action more than ever for us to get closer together, to spend more time together, to walk together, to hold hands together, to have dinners together, to listen to music together, to cry together, to hear the same fucking story of loss over and over again. My friend is one of the greatest grief counselors in the world. He has encouraged me never to give up on my grief. Wear it so proudly. Tell the story over and over and over again how much you miss your mom. It's an act of courage and wisdom to do that. So I encourage you. I don't know what I'm saying exactly with you, but wear it all. Wear it all. Even when the Buddha, many of you know that the Buddha was married. Doesn't really get a lot of airtime. No one really knows either that the Buddha was also polyamorous. Oh yeah. Serious oversight in the Buddha's text. But when you look at it carefully, fully engaged in polyamory. While married. Fully engaged. But when he got married, he had a child and again left the so-called marriage to do the Radical Renunciation Act. At the end of his wife's life, she also became a renunciate. You maybe know this story. Her name was Yasodhara. Not many people talk about her. And she was said to have become fully enlightened and had tremendous psychic skills. And so when she was about to die, she had a premonition that she was going to pass away. And so she said, I don't want to leave this earth without talking with my husband, my former husband, my now celibate husband. They reinvented polyamory as polyamorous celibates. It's not an original concept of mine, although I am a polyamorous celibate today. I find it an incredible practice. Try it. Try it. I encourage you to try it. And reinvent lovemaking in new dimensions. She calls the Buddha, you can imagine here, we got a couple of Buddha statues. Never see the woman, do you? Disgusting. Why isn't she around? Yasodhara calls the Buddha, all the monks and all the nuns, and says, Gautama, calls him by his ordinary name, his first name. And she begins to tell Gautama at all the things that she encountered along the way during what she figured to be the multiple lifetimes that they were bonded and married. I don't know about you, but one of my best kept secrets is I really believe in not only twin flames, but people that you meet, that you configure with, that you have unbelievable connection to. Fair enough? There's a bonding there, that's a familiarity there. You just can't believe it. Fair enough? I'm saying the obvious. Then you get to obstacles. You're 10 years or 15 years into your marriage. You've reached a plateau, an obstacle, a challenge. You're going to separate. Well, guess what? You're not. Why? Because you're going to take it higher. Yasodhara said, with you, dude, I had to take it higher continually with you. No one talks about this. It's in the Yasodhara Sutta. I had to take it constantly. I had to deal with your transgressions, your anger, your aggression, your greed, your fear. I was committed to the transformation of shared intelligence. I find this remarkable. You know how many kids we had that were lost? How many tears that you suffered and I suffered? How many times you fucking abandoned me? Of course, that's my theatrical voice. But abandonment is a fucking diss, isn't it? How many of you have been betrayed? Proudly, it so hurts, but yeah, you betrayed yourself. I know that story, okay? Go do some more plant medicine. Come back tomorrow. No, you betrayed me. I didn't betray me. You broke the breach, she told him. She's telling him all these things. My point is, we're all human. My panic is that I am not human and that I should be holding this differently. Someone promised me something that I'm not keeping. Deep humanness to include. The only archetype I can see for meditation is the epic mother. Include that too, so that we can talk to each other throughout this process of the ways that we can grow together. And Yasodhara told the Buddha, the ultimate pinnacle of liberation and freedom, you could not be a Buddha without me. And I could not be Yasodhara without you. Your child, your husband, your lovers, your teachers, your gurus, your body, your friendships, we're not going anywhere. We're in this fabric. We're embedded. The form and the identity is different. But I do believe that we're interconnected in ways that so challenge the conventional beliefs. Look at the ecosystem today, that every life form that ever lived on this planet is now embedded in oil and gas and methane. When the Buddha's using phrases like, there's so many tears in these oceans, you cried more tears in all the four great oceans in losing life. It's so epic. It's no longer personal. And you're and I are at that stage now where we've transcended a lot of the personal and we're in the convergence now of a higher order existential. This woman is your sister. I'm your brother. She's your daughter. He's your son. That's how I'm looking at someone beyond my daughter. When I'm seeing someone else's child, that's my child. Where's Heidi? She has 3 beautiful sons. I've met them. I look at them like my daughter. I don't know them. They don't know me. But what a gift it is to meet people new and reinvent the old. I meet women here and men. I would be in love with you. I am in love with you. It helps me understand overcoming the loss of love. I have a vulnerability, a boundary. I'm still healing. So I'm physically, emotionally celibate on that level, but I'm a lover, and it's helping me heal. So I would only suggest to you, as sister, come out, be seen, let our voices be shared, and know that you have support. And the last thing is, although we've just shared a little bit, me more than you, I apologize for that. You're the item, not me. Let this just be an opening, a small opening in a window of relationship together, and with this group that isn't over, it's just an emergence, a beginning. I want to hear everything that you want to share about every pain that you've ever had. Equally, what makes you get out of bed and fight it. I want to learn from you and with you.
Yeah, that's why I'm here. I want to learn from everybody how we can actually evolve into these beings that we, with the infinity of sky, are supposed to be, or can be, or have the possibility to be, and we are here together to
Microphone.
to weave it together. Like
Let me
thing you say, and then what it does within the other.
Let me say this, Indra. And let me just remind this and take it back to the group in a minute, is beyond the words in your notebooks, mindful intelligence, meditation, Dharma are the conscious choosing of states of mind. It's all that we're looking at here. Is we're not trying to figure out the universe. I'm not. I don't know what's going to happen after death. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. But I do know that I have a high regard for music and for art and for painting and coloring. And that requires, and I have a high regard for language, that requires a disciplined engagement in those particular fields. So I use this analogous to art. What are the colors that you want to paint life with? What are the colors of your mind that you want to inhabit as how you make music? And no longer live in ambiguity about that mindfully intelligent development. That's all. And I would really, really emphasize what are those states, and ask questions if you want so that everyone can hear. I would like to be a more generous person. How can I cultivate generosity? I want to be more natural and authentic. I want to know what that means on an intelligent level. I would like to cultivate patience, just like I want to use the color blue when I paint. No. That's pink. Pink is a cool color, but that's very different than blue. Okay? And a lot of people think that patience is subjugating passion and annoyance and tolerance all together. Next thing you know, it's like you're contracting, thinking that you should be there, but you're not really patient. Patience has the attribute of, I cannot be who I am without you. I'm going to listen despite my annoyance, despite my resistance. And so you mindfully hold at bay the dissonance of resistance as negating the artful beauty of patience, which means staying present with uncertainty. And you want to cultivate Dharma literacy. How many of you, I've asked this, how many of you do yoga? I mean, I've been doing yoga for a long time. You can do it wrongly. You can be injured. People who aren't skilled at alignment will fuck you up. Get a rotator cuff injury, hips now are being seen as being replaced. 10, 15 years down the road, you are fucked if you've been doing yoga. Yeah, I'm a great yoga. But your body is screwed. Why? Because you did it wrongly. It wasn't yoga, it was the teaching and you adhering to things that you didn't question. The same thing with Dharma, spirituality, psychology. You can do it wrongly. Or you can do it in a more literate, correct way, and the only way is for you to do it on your terms. I'm just suggesting what's worked for me is to take it out of Buddhism and what are the states of mind that you want to cultivate. If you can't do that, that's really lazy. And develop a notebook for the next year or two on those states, subsidiary states, characteristics of the states. How do I really know them to be true? What states masquerade as that state? For example, greed, attachment, and love are very intimately entwined. Say no more about that one. But the characteristic of love, as I understand it, is that it seeks the happiness of another individual. And it actively does things that promote the well-being of that person. You love them to be happy. It's not about what you can do to fulfill my needs and, hey baby, I love you, I love you. Those words are meaningless unless you are Dharma literate to the truer meaning and the expression of a more liberated, literate meaning of love. Obviously. And so we want to not only know what the working definition of love means, but to know its shadow. How do I know the felt texture of need and attraction, love and attachment? Those 4 words could be studied for a lifetime. I'm advocating that kind of experiential study. Fair enough? It's not psychology, it's meditation. Psychology is using conscious ideas to try to discover why you do and don't. I don't want to practice the idea of breathing. I want to fucking breathe. I don't want to practice intimacy. I want to be intimate. I don't want to think about cooking. I want to fucking eat and cook mindfully. I want to nurture the realism of a more liberating love. You're with me on that. People talk about being compassionate. They talk about compassion burnout. How often do we hear of that? It's a common phrase that's used. It's sort of like, oh yeah, I work in a refugee camp, I'm burned out now. No one really kind of want to look at how do you educate a more engaged, wise expression of empathy and compassion that elevates the compassion rather than the burnout. And so if you're not careful, many people mistake sorrow and sadness for empathy and compassion because they both have the same attributes. Oh my goodness, I feel so bad for you. What's the difference between sadness, sorrow, and compassion and empathy? Well, compassion genuinely feels the discomfort or the suffering of another individual, but it's not compassion at all if it isn't creatively looking at ways to help support the individual in looking and feeling and challenging over the way in which she and he are suffering. So it's an action, a skillful action that isn't often placating the sorrow. Most psychotherapy, hear this, is about placating sadness. It perpetuates it. Read a book. 100 years of psychotherapy and things are getting worse. One of the preeminent Jungian psychologists wrote it, and he called it the industry of colluding with sadness. A more mindfully intelligent approach would be elevating the status of the suffering to a more independently resolved, shared support for the overcoming of it without the demonization of it, rather than next Wednesday I have a 2 to 3 p.m. opening for you. It's the industry of repetition. Meditation taught as a carrot so that you come to more and more 10-day retreats. It perpetuates dysfunction. I don't know if that makes sense to you. So a lot of these states have to be reclaimed and own your Dharma life. Stop looking to teachers, gurus, books, and systems, and come down to what my teachers have recently, before they died, passed on. You don't need to be a Buddhist, Alan. That's coming from the most prominent Buddhist in the country of Burma, one of the largest, most prominent Buddhist countries in the world. Very interesting to me. The Dharma is universal. Talk more about spiritual mindful intelligence than about Buddhism. What is that? The study of states of mind. Dharma literacy, yoga literacy, alignment of inner states, Dharma, inner asana. Does that make sense to you? And I would keep writing down as many of these states of mind as you want. Some of the more clever ones we'll talk about, like what is resilience and how do I bring that to the forefront of my life more frequently. That to me is a big one, especially in today's world. I'm not going to be that happy because I'm sort of prone towards complexity and struggle. I have an inordinate amount of sadness that goes on a lot of the time. But resilience is a very interesting concept to me. And I'm not sure that I know a whole lot about it, but one of the ways in which I'm evolving it in my life is to be associated with good people. I don't know who I could be today without knowing that this week I can talk to 3 or 4 of my closest friends and speak with them openly and honestly about what I'm feeling and going on and about their lives. We consciously check in like that. And I'm blessed to have 3 of the finest clinical psychologists in the world in my camp. So there's nothing we cannot talk about. But it's never disempowering. It's always evolutional in that sense. So know how to bring good people into your life and develop the attributes of noble alliances to be humble enough to have good people near you so that you can be supported in the cultivation of these states of consciousness. Resilience is one of the ones that comes through friendships. I can't do it on my own alone. Second for me, and I use this word sparingly, I don't know if I'm going excessively, meticulously careful with exercise, embodiment, energy, and food. I have never really understood the influence of what I put into my mind and my body and how it affects my mind and my body. I refuse to participate in anyone who criticizes me. If you do, you're out forever. I don't want forgiveness in my life. You work it out, not me. Just send me a $10,000 donation, I'll consider it. If we're in love and we have a commitment to intimacy, I'm down with that. You've got me for life. But just to assume that we're humans, I'm not going to be that intimate with you. Knowing boundaries. You know what I'm saying? Resilience to me is not being open to everyone. It's being good to everyone. But there are some people you share things with and there's other people that you don't. Timing is a big issue. I know with good people in my life, if you say things at the wrong time, there's a drain of energy. It's a loss of resilience. So knowing suitability and timing on what to do and what to say and what not to say and what not to do. Skillful means, are you with me? Tuning into these things. What is the emotionality of skillful means? Pointing to a whole new yogic system here of inner Dharma asana. It's not Buddhist, it's not Hindu, it's not Advaita, it's not Christian, it's not Muslim. It's that and more. And it's taking it out of conceptualization and making it analogous to the nutrient of a food. I want to eat steamed broccoli tonight at cafe. No, I don't want carrot with it. Thank you very much. I want the nutrient of broccoli. I want the nutrient of gratitude. When we get closer and closer to that intelligence, then we are now in the world of being more adept and literate with who are you? What are you doing? I'm studying the felt texture of states of consciousness. Do you meditate? Yeah, that's what it is. I'm bringing to the forefront of my presence respect. How few people, my daughter brings this up often, how few people really bring respect to her or the space or to other students. They bring hierarchy, they bring condescension, they bring know better. One of the things when people ask, what do you regret most about being young, is they fucking treated you like shit. I mean, not really bad compared to how bad gets, but they always thought that you were sort of underdeveloped and really didn't understand, and that you were sort of a child, you were always young. But my sense of being was that, man, I didn't even relate to age. I really feel what's coming down here. And the thing that was missing is that they treated you without the capacity to understand something. So I believe in playing high and large with people. Step out. My daughter's a real stickler for wanting to expand from. Give reason to be in new genres, new expressions, new levels of intimacy and intelligence. Are you with me? So one of the ways of resilience for me is expanding in the areas of psychic, existential, emotional adventure with people. I feel that when I go to bed at night, if I've expanded into the world of adventure, I feel like I've lived a good day. Like last night, we had an interesting conversation. It was an adventurous conversation. People were asking questions and commenting from the edge of stepping beyond normalcy. That's very interesting. How often, I don't judge this, people talk about their problems. Here, I've got some ayahuasca for you if you need it. Just, I don't mind that, but go see a therapist. Be more mindful of what you're saying. This is a rare moment in life. I've met a few people here for the first time in my life. They showed up as a rare moment. I ask you that. One of the ways to develop resilience is how rare is the encounter that you have with the person right in front of you. That to me is the mark of someone really either a savant or a habit monger. And so where are you in that realm of, this is a rare, precious moment. We started with reverence, rarity of encounter. Reinvent the ways that we talk about complexity. Let me end with this. What time is it, by the way? Say again?
It's 11:40.
11:40, okay, good. One of the things, if I were to pass on, I wanted to share with you before we don't, maybe dine at lunch, who knows. I don't like to bring up the obvious, but it could happen. 250,000 people died today, by the way. They die every day like that. I mean, just look around. We're in a mortal zone by being born human. The idea that you die because you're only old, drop it. My teacher, my first teacher, the Venerable Mahasi Sayadaw, where these instructions came from meditatively, he passed on. And he died. And he left an enormous legacy. 250,000 people came to our monastery to pay their final respects to him on his grave, or in his line in state. And it was all done in silence for the entire week. It was quite impressive to see people just reverentially passing around this body, a man who had dedicated his life to encouraging in himself and others the beautification of the mind. His name was Usobana. What does it mean? The beautification of the mind. I'm not making this up. He's the most famous monk in modernity in Burma. What was his name? Usobana. What does it mean? The conscious cultivation of beautiful states of mind. What did he teach people? Meditation. What did it mean? Bhavana. What does bhavana mean? It's a synonym for sobhana, the beautiful states of mind. I'm passing on something that's been passed on to me that takes meditation off a posture, off a overcoming stress, into something. What do? I just cultivate bhavana, cultivate sobhana. What do? I cultivate beautiful states of mind. Do you meditate? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Yes, I cultivate beautiful states of mind. Are you meditating? Yes, I'm doing that with you right now. I'm cultivating respect and patience, you asshole. You dogmatic little prick. Go back to your monastery. Because you've got spiritual apartheid going on, postural apartheid. Beautiful states of mind. Take integration off the table. You hear that, yeah? Trust that. Infiltrate this island of our family with no time off, all time present. I'm a bhavana addict. Replace it with overcoming an addiction. What do? I'm a nurturer of beautiful states of mind. Where? In self and other. Do you have struggles and complexities? And that too. I'm a mother who includes beautiful resilience and patience and fatigue and grief and humanness with the edge of my despair. Beautiful states of mind. Keep bringing beauty. Oh God, I'm angry at you. You're just no longer the identity, the woman that I married. I hear you. I hear you. Well, say something. I'm saying it. I love you. I'm committed to the relationship. Your anger, I can't respond to, except that I'm committed to including that too. And all of a sudden, because of that embrace, sometimes there's tears. People are felt and heard at a beautiful state of mind. Just continually come into that. Well, Mahasi Seda was taken to the cemetery where he was cremated. My teacher now, Seda U Pandita, was the head of the monastery. Imagine right now, all of this Siam Valley were standing with people. 250,000 people came, and right here on this platform there was a body. That's the setting. In Yangon, 1982. And there I was standing with all these other monks and nuns and lay people who had gathered to pay their respects to Usobhana, S-O-B-H-A-N-A. Beautiful states of mind, the embodiment of beautiful states of mind. And my teacher, Seda U Pandita, took the microphone and he repeated one ancient Pali Buddhist phrase 3 times. And it went a little bit like this. He said to the entire 250,000 people, as we all paid homage to this great memory of you embody beautiful states of mind. He said, Anicca vata sankara, upadavaya damino, upaticha va nirujanti te samvupasamo sukho. Anicca vata sankara, upadavaya damino, upaticha va nirujanti te samvupasamo sukho. He had 250,000 people chanting this slowly. And what it means in simple terms, and imagine embodying this as a beautiful state of mind, the insight into anicca, change, is the opening to unconditional compassion, love, and freedom. If we understood, he's saying in this short phrase, anicca of all phenomena, all birds and trees and molecules and babies, all planets and solar systems and metaverses, all things known, unknown, past and future, everywhere the imagined can include, everything is a sea of photonic changing elements and neurons and pre-atoms. Everything is anicca vata sankara. All in that phrase. Everything is changing. Everything is an interrelated constellation of conditions without centrality. You can't find the original molecule of the ocean. You cannot find the center of the universe. You cannot find the ultimate center of the metaverse. You can't find ultimately the identity of an individual named Alan Clements or Usobana. They're conditioned phenomena, an ecosystem of existential, psychical, psychological, emotional, anatomical conditions without centrality. Anicca vata sankara upadavaya damino. They're all conditioned lawful principles in an infinite sea, a galaxy, a universe of conditions that are characterized by incessant change. Think if we occupied that right now, that there's no certainty of one breath going to the next. We are living in an intelligence that's so obvious yet deeply denied of our brains, the trillion of neurons firing right now to remember these words. Words change. They come and they go into this great infinite ocean of mystery. He's saying to the entire 250,000 people, saying it to the world, if we only understood anicca vata sankara, that all things were inherently lawfully changing, that you can't hold on to these illusions. It's only a fiction of the imagination to look up at the sky and see the constellation of a bull when there's only infinity. Get that the higher truth is not the prediction of a future alone, but you can't hold on to this too, and this too, and this too. Are you willing to abide and occupy that infinite liberated space right now that coexists with the Taurus of grief? That's the challenge. That configurations on this infinite empty fabric exist. Look at us. We're human. We can love and have children. We can cry and die. We'll bury each other or be buried together. We're in a world crumbling. We're on the precipice of extinction. We're existential savants challenging God to reveal to us the highest order frequencies of love. At the essence of this, he's saying, to understand anicca is the highest form of love. To me, where I go in my life, I try to remember this. And he said it 3 times. They all chanted, anicca vata sankara, upadavaya damino, upatichua nirjanti, tesam vupasamo sukho. All phenomena in this universe, known and unknown, past and future, are changing, conditioned. For the mind that's also changing without centrality, that understands that its very nature is the nature that you're looking for, empty of soul, self, and death, occupy this great radiant freedom that pre-exists change, that exists in relationship to it, that dances in and through it. Be this freedom. He's given them the highest teaching. And sometimes I try to remind myself, no matter how good it works out into the future, it's not better than being wise in the moment. In-breath, out-breath. So try to really embrace this in our practice. Where is the real beauty? Innate liberty, innate perfection, innate beauty as we are right now. Why not go there and let the rest of the dance be rippled and play in that lila of whatever it is that we dance with and move with, and the struggles and the convulsions and the babies and the orifices and all the various things and the fluids and the gods and the bees and the dengue fever. It's all fucking here, but within it. Okay. I'm fearful and I'm fearless simultaneously. I can live, I can breathe, and guess what? I can only die, and I'm dying. To be reborn and die. And if you can call God's bluff at that level, you won the battle of fear, and you get to occupy what they called here true love. So I leave that with us today as we take time at lunch. Be watchful of projecting that tomorrow is the outcome that you seek right now. And that too, we're both primordial, existential, and radically human. Take care with your husband. take care with your family, take care with your soul. At the same time, in-breath. Why wait? Why wait? Why wait for the primordial lover to liberate me that I can do right now? And that too, that hunger is so real, isn't it? And that too. So from my heart to yours, thank you for letting me be myself. Thank you for supporting that. We have yet another period of lunch. I am explained by beloved Samantha that if there are those who wish to stay and have lunch here, I think there's enough time and room if you put your name down and look at the menu that they will cook something for you. I'm not sure how that's going to work, but they've done it before. Otherwise, please maintain cool and space and silence and keep using the time wisely here with your notebooks. Use the pool if you need to. Be respectful of space. Of course, if you need to talk or use your phones, outside the gate. If you do smoke, no judgment intended, outside the gate. And if I could encourage you, as the days keep continuing to unfold, please put out to your tribe, your friends, your social networks in any way you need to. Bring our family here. Even if it's for an hour, it's totally cool. Encourage them to come out in your own gentle way. We'll come back at 2 and carry on. Thank you from my heart. One set.